Well, hello there. Very good Tuesday evening to you. Thanks for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. A pretty nice day across northern Michigan and a pretty great day to kick off Alpenfest there in downtown Gaylord. A few clouds scattered here and there, but for the most part, it's nice and warm and dry all across the viewing area. But Joe, any chance for a little bit of rain tonight?
You know, maybe a shower or two. We've had some big time storms up in the central UP, and they're kind of heading our way in some respects, but I don't think a lot of that's going to kind of hold together. So if it does, we could get a shower tonight.
Okay.
That's about the only chance tonight. And then tomorrow, as you head east, kind of east of I-75, a little better chance for maybe a shower or thunderstorm on Wednesday. Warming up late week, we could even see some upper 80s returning by Friday. So we'll look at that. And when the best chance for a more meaningful rain is, we'll have all that, Maya, coming up a little later.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. But let's start off with our top story tonight. The suspect in what U.S. Border Patrol is calling an ambushed attack in Texas does have northern Michigan ties. As we first reported yesterday, 27-year-old Ryan Mosqueda is from Mason County, and he was killed during the attack yesterday morning. Ryan graduated from Ludington High School. Our Allie Baxter spoke to a handful of his classmates today, and they all say that they are in shock.
I'm shocked about it still. I would have never guessed he would have done this.
27-year-old Ryan Mosqueda is being remembered for his last moments.
I've never seen him get angry or violent with anyone. And I was in school with him for over five or 6 years.
But for the first 18 years of his life, he's remembered as someone who former classmates say wasn't capable of hurting a fly.
Knowing Ryan, he was an amazing kid. Gifted, very smart. Didn't even try very hard, but succeeded with ease. It hurts my feelings to see this.
That's a former classmate of Ryan's. He's asked us to protect his identity. Ryan was one of less than 100 students of Ludington High School's class of 2016.
I was tardy for one of my classes, and if I had to ask someone to help me catch up, Ryan would be the kid you would ask to help catch you up.
Classmates say Ryan struggled with slow learning capabilities. One said Ryan wasn't a bad kid, but they noticed he had mental struggles the older he got, and that it's hard to believe the alleged attack was something he spent months planning to do.
I just last saw him a couple months ago. Me and my girlfriend had went out to eat, and we had been talking, and he had been working. He had seemed just fine. He didn't seem like he was mentally off or anything.
Ryan is believed to have had a job at a grocery store in Ludington, but most summers were spent with family in Texas, according to one classmate. Another said they had great love and concern for Ryan as he neared adulthood, knowing it would be trialing.
It's hard to speak because I would never have guessed one of my friends, one of my closest friends throughout school, would do something like this.
That was our Allie Baxter reporting, and we still don't know every detail about the shooting incident that happened in Texas yesterday, but we do know that the FBI is still investigating it. Well, as we first shared with you yesterday, there was a rash of weekend water emergencies, including a father and a son who drowned in Burt Lake in Sheboygan County, but there were plenty of other emergencies across the entire state. Emergency responders dealt with 8 total drownings over the holiday weekend. In addition to those 2 in Sheboygan County, another occurred on Lake Mecosta. A victim drowned in Muskegon County on White Lake. A 49-year-old was killed in downstate Oakland County, as well as an 86-year-old missing man with dementia who was found in an Oakland County pond. And sadly, another father and son died in Lake Michigan at Indiana Dunes National Park. Well, let's turn things over to our guest tonight. It is David Benjamin. He is the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project Executive Director. And let's bring in Dave now to hear a little more about exactly. Oh, all right. Actually, there he is. All right. Hi, Dave. Thanks so much for coming on Unscripted tonight.
Sure. I'm near the Chicago area, so we had a storm roll through, and our power's been going on and off. So hopefully we're good for this.
All right. Well, fingers crossed that we can get through a couple minutes of hearing more about exactly what you and your organization does. So tell us a little bit about Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. What do you do?
The Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project is a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization. We track the drownings in the Great Lakes. We teach water safety. We work with family and friends of drowning victims. We also train lifeguards and first responders for open water rescue.
And why is it important to track drownings? And then exactly how do you use that data?
So we need to understand that drowning across the board nationwide is grossly underreported or misreported. And for us to have accurate information so we can, specialize our outreach, we need to look at the incidents that happen. And so if we look at, some of the incidences that happen over the 4th of July weekend, we do know there was a few incidences where it was a would-be rescuer. The father's trying to rescue their son. And unfortunately, it's not common sense to know that would-be rescuers often become drowning victims. We see someone struggling, we want to react immediately, and we just jump right in and try to help. And what we want people to do is to stop, inform someone else that someone else is drowning, try and look for something that floats and throw them something that floats to interrupt the drowning process. The flotation will be the key to surviving the drowning incident. There was another incident where I think it was a jet skier that didn't have a life jacket on. And, when you're operating a jet ski, you absolutely should have a life jacket on, because if you wipe out, you fall off, even if it's calm conditions, it could be windy conditions where now it's going to blow that device farther and faster than you could swim after it. So we need to know what happened, the incidents, the events that happened, so we can look at where did we miss something for water safety education and outreach.
Sure. And as I mentioned, we know of at least 8 drownings that occurred in the state of Michigan this past holiday weekend. Is that a high number compared to other years during that same 4th of July weekend, or how does that compare to previous years?
Unfortunately, this is situation normal. We have these drowning incidences that are going to peak during holiday weekends, during heat waves, during windy events, when they're going to have several types of dangerous currents that are happening. So this is unfortunately normal from what we have on average. Now, the good thing that we're seeing, though, is the media picked this up that, wow, it wasn't just Great Lakes drownings. We had many more inland lakes drownings, and that, these incidents get listed, they get counted, they get identified, and we can look at, what activities they were doing. Unfortunately, a man with dementia wandered out of the house and into a pond, a child at a pool, or a child in a retention pond, right? We can look at these instances and see where do we need to, beef up some water safety education and outreach. Now, that we say that, but we need to understand water safety is not funded. There's barely to no funding for water safety. So we're not even using a shoestring budget. It's a broken flip-flop budget, what we're working with. And it's just unfortunate that that's the state of it, because drowning is a public health issue, and it does not get funded like other public health issues. It does not get education, outreach, and research like other public health issues.
Why does it not?
Well, it oftentimes just gets grouped in with, it's a recreational issue, right? Recreation is often part of drowning, but it's not the main source of drowning. And when we have something called the stigma of drowning, when someone drowns, usually the general public will blame the victim for drowning, like they were stupid, or they should have known better, they shouldn't have got themselves in that situation. But we need to understand that water safety is not common sense nationwide. Most people have this misconception that knowing how to swim is water safety. Knowing how to swim is just knowing how to swim. It's not water safety. Swimming is an endurance sport. So for everyone who says you know how to swim, you don't have to worry about this, I want to know, what did you do for your spring training for swimming? Did you go to the pool? Were you swimming hundreds and thousands of yards? The answer is resoundingly no, unless they're a swim team person, or a swim team as swimming is part of their exercise. Most people just think knowing how to swim is all you need to know. When reality, when we look at fatal drowning statistics, people that know how to swim drown at a higher rate than people that do not know how to swim. Wow. Now, it's kind of a shocking statistic, and then we need people to wake up and realize that. When we look at drowning statistics, 80% of all drowning victims are male. 4 out of 5 drowning victims are male. It's not common sense to know that. Males are more likely to take risks, more susceptible to peer pressure, more likely to overestimate their abilities. And in water, they overestimate their abilities an additional 50%. So we need to talk to all the males in the room saying, you guys got to be a lot safer around the water, right? The bravado, the pushing your limits, daring your friends to get in water over their heads, to jump off the pier, can have fatal consequences. So the good news is all the water safety information is simple, easy to understand. It's just not widely taught yet because it's not funded. And that's why a water safety school curriculum, 2 bills that are going through the Michigan legislature right now, is probably the most important thing that we could have happen in the state of Michigan. A water safety school curriculum would be the fastest approach to reach the largest audience in the shortest amount of time to reach those that are most impacted.
Well, yeah, it's very surprising to me that it's taken this long to get some legislation going in Lansing. But of course, when it comes to water safety and education, you mentioned some safety tips of, if someone is in distress, don't jump in and try to save them, try to get a flotation device or something to them. Always wear a life jacket. What are some other safety tips that you want people to know?
That you should always have a water watcher. And it's adult responsibility, whether it's a backyard pool or the beach. There should be one adult who's responsible for watching the water at all times. And this position needs to rotate. They've recommended that this person only watch the water for 15 minutes and then they rotate with another adult so that, keep them hyperactive and aware. Many organizations have water watcher cards you can put on a lanyard. While wearing this tag, I agree to supervise the children in the open water pool, keeping them in sight at all times. Will not leave the water area without giving them another adult to replace me. Wearing those life jackets and making sure that they're properly fitted and that they're U.S. Coast Guard approved, especially when you're on boats, when you are on a jet ski, when you're stand-up paddleboarding or kayaking. Having these life jackets on, not having them stowed under a cabin. Also, if you're going out on a boat, making sure the boat's not overloaded, that the boat operator is not drinking and driving, understanding how to operate the boat, as well as the communications of the boat for the radio and the flare gun. Knowing these things, knowing where the flotation devices are, that the seat cushions could be used as a flotation device in most boats. Whenever there's winds across the Great Lakes, there's several types of dangerous currents. And to simplify this, when you go to the beach, assess which way the wind is blowing. So when you're looking at the water, is the wind coming onshore? Is it coming side shore from one angle or the other? Or is it blowing offshore? Because the types of wind directions will have an impact on the types of currents. If the winds are coming directly onshore, you're likely going to have some wave activity coming onshore. You could have rip currents that flow directly offshore. But if the wind is coming side onshore, you could have longshore currents that flow parallel to the shoreline that can then feed into rip currents, or it flows parallel to the shoreline until it hits a pier, and it's going to go out the length of a pier as a structural current. And then if the winds are blowing offshore, anything that floats can go far and fast offshore with the wind. So chasing a football or an inflatable raft or someone on a inner tube, these things will go far and fast offshore with the wind. Let the flotations go. And, if you go to the beach, really, you shouldn't have these flotation devices out there. It should only be like professional water toys, like a stand-up paddleboard with a leash and a life jacket, a kayak with the life jacket. So.
Right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing some very important safety tips when you are at the beach to make sure your next, fun day at the beach does not turn into a tragedy. We really appreciate your time and all of your very valuable information. One more story to share with you before we take a quick break. Some people who are crossing the Mackinac Bridge on Sunday said they experienced some pretty long delays. So we reached out to the bridge authority to see if there was a problem or if it was just, usual holiday traffic. Bridge authority spokesperson James Lake says that around 600,000 vehicles cross a bridge in each of the July and August months. He also says that there is a buildup of traffic before, of course, big holiday weekends, such as the 4th of July.
We have 8 lanes, typically 4 open in each direction. We can switch one of those middle lanes to serve either north or southbound as demand surges. And then we also have the capability, which we did on Sunday, to open up the outside emergency lanes, one with a manned toll booth, temporary booth during the summer months, and one that was opened as a MacPass lane to help deal with those surges in traffic.
And Lake says 4th of July traffic was actually down over the bridge compared to a year ago. Really quick before our break, let's take a look at the question of the day. What is your form of payment when you are going over the Mackinac Bridge at the toll? Scan the QR code on your screen right now, and we will take a look at the results toward the end of the show. But we are going to take a quick pause. We'll check back in with Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix in just a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
A pretty nice Tuesday outside across northern Michigan. Joe mentioned earlier that maybe a slight chance for some showers tonight. But Joe, looking ahead to the rest of the week, when are our next chances for some rain?
Yeah, I think the best, unfortunately, maybe over the weekend as we look ahead here, because the chances tonight, even tomorrow, are kind of hit and miss. Yeah. But a little more of a substantial system arrives, looks like later Saturday. Let's take a look around northern Michigan, though. Sault Ste. Marie. A few clouds dotting the sky. They had nice blue skies most of the day there. You can take a peek there at the locks. Gaylord, of course, Alpenfest in full swing. A few clouds over Traverse City. Same thing at Cadillac this evening as we take a look around northern Michigan. We'll start with Alpenfest. That's ongoing in Gaylord, and we'll continue through the rest of the week. Tomorrow, 75. Now, we put in the chance for a thunderstorm tomorrow there. Not a big deal. Thursday and Friday, dry and comfortable too. 79 Thursday, a little warm Friday, but nothing unusual for mid-July. We'll be into the mid-80s there in downtown Gaylord for the 60th annual Alpenfest. We have an area of low pressure over Wisconsin tonight. There it is. This is kicking off some thunderstorms a little earlier up across the central UP. Here's a little closer look at that. A few of these storms did drop some up to quarter-sized hail and uprooted some trees in Iron County up in the UP. But these storms, as they continue to kind of track toward us, should start to fall apart. Here's a look at where they are right now, kind of along the Door Peninsula. If you're watching up in the eastern UP, you're starting to get a little bit of rain here, western Mackinac County, up there around Newberry currently. But I'm not expecting a whole lot of rain overnight tonight. You can see that on Stormcast. Showers kind of fall apart Tomorrow, dry for the most part early in the morning, and then in the afternoon, you know, you take I-75. East of there, a better chance for an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. Maybe around Mayo, the Houghton Lake area perhaps, up toward Alpena, and Drummond Island, that region. If you're near Lake Michigan, I think most areas remain dry. And then a beautiful day Thursday, and we'll kind of see the same thing coming up on Friday. We mentioned that chance for rain over the weekend. Here is the weekend forecast. I know it's only Tuesday, but I'm sure some of you have plans. Upper 70s, low 80s Saturday. And then we put in that chance for some afternoon rain or thunderstorms into Saturday night. But then the good thing is, if you have plans, this will move out of here by Sunday, it looks like. So Sunday looks like a nice day, mostly sunny. Temperature Sunday 78 to 84. Extended forecast, here it is. Looking at dry weather Thursday, Friday. There's that chance for rain heading into the weekend. But again, it's not going to rain both days, it looks like. Sunday should be pretty nice. And then warming back up again. Monday, Tuesday, temperatures will be in the low and mid 80s, Maya, heading into next week. So at least some mild weather will hang on for a little while.
Yeah, love to see that. All right, thanks, Joe. Let's take another quick break, but we will check in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe, about to go to another Pittsburgh's game in Traverse City. All that's straight ahead. Well, the Traverse City Pittsburghers have been playing a whole lot of baseball over the past couple of days. Not only do they have a doubleheader today, but they had 2 games in the last 2 days, went into extra innings. So for more on that, let's turn things over to Sports Director Harrison Beebe, back live outside Turtle Creek Stadium. Hey, Harrison.
Yeah, Maya, hoping they make it 3 for 3 with extra innings. I mean, free baseball is the biggest luxury you can get in the middle of the summer. Nobody has school. Come on, nobody has work in the morning. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, 13 innings last night, which is a little bit of a hike, and then they had 10 innings in the first game of the doubleheader today. So Kingfish winning both of those games. Pittsburgh's 0-2 so far in this homestand, but a game tonight and a game tomorrow night to try and right the ship and get a win for this home crowd at Turtle Creek Stadium before that All-Star break next week.
And when I was looking at the Pittsburgh schedule, I noticed their doubleheader today. It was very spaced out, but with that many games with extra innings, it's good that they got a nice break this afternoon in between the games.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, although their roster is deep enough that, like any other major league team that would be in a doubleheader, you could switch catchers around and whatnot to give guys relief. But yes, I did hear one of the All-Stars came up with an injury. I don't know how bad in the first game, so he was not. I was going to actually head out here earlier today to do some mid-game, mid-doubleheader interviews for later in the week, and I was told that one of the All-Stars was not available. So we'll try again on that tomorrow. But we are here tonight for an actual baseball game.
And also another actual baseball game happening in Detroit. Game 2 between the Tigers and the Rays, set to kick off like any minute now, right?
Yeah, kickoff indeed. Another Jack Flaherty special. What does he have in store for us tonight? It's like the best and worst roller coaster Cedar Point could ever offer, watching a Jack Flaherty start. And it's fitting that we're coming up on the trade deadline because he was such a coveted piece at this time last year that we sent to the Dodgers, and they won the World Series, and now he's a coveted piece of ours, but we would like him to pitch like he is. So
yep, still waiting on his breakout game, but hey, maybe that'll be tonight. Harrison, thanks so much for joining us. A whole lot of baseball action tonight on Up North Live News at 11 in the sports segment, so stick around for that. But we're going to take a quick break right now. Stick around for the live results for our question of the day.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
We are talking payment methods when it comes to traveling over the Mackinac Bridge. What is your form of payment for the Mackinac Bridge toll? 65% use cash, only 6% card, and then 29% MacPass. Over on Facebook, we have a lot of comments. Steve says, I use nothing but cash in the UP. Cash is king up here. Justin says, MacPass for the win. Cheryl says, I always use cash. That's the best way to get through quickly. And that is true. James Lake with the Bridge Authority, a spokesperson, says that if you use cash, it'll save you about 11 seconds. Little pro tip there if you're in a hurry and want to shut off some time going across the Mackinac Bridge. Well, that will do it for Up North Live Unscripted tonight at 6:30. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11 tonight.